Start lying down on your backs. Legs are wide apart, splayed out. Arms can be at your side, palms facing up. Activate Ujjayi breathing by constricting the back of your throat, making your breath sound like the sound of the ocean. The theme of today's class is Bird of Paradise pose. It's an advanced pose that requires open shoulders, strong, flexible hamstrings. Set an intention for today's class. Bring your arms up overhead. And try using your core and every muscle in your body, and try not using your arms to roll over to your left onto your stomach. Roll back the other way onto your backs, and then roll to your right onto your stomach again, and roll back onto your backs, again to your left, and now shift back onto your mat, so you're on your stomachs on your mat. We're going to come into Superman pose, so extend your arms out overhead and raise your arms and your legs. You're tensing every muscle in your body. Your neck is flat, your gaze is down at your mats, and you're pushing into your heels into the mat. I'm sorry, you're pushing into your hips into your mat. Breathing here. Trying to raise your arms up and your legs up a little more and come down. So you can rest on one cheek or the other. You can rest on your forehead, on your chin. If you're on one cheek, switch sides. Come back up into Superman. So raise your arms, raise your legs, tense every muscle in your body, gazes down, neck flat. Come back down to the mat. Resting here. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, tuck your toes, and push up into a plank position. Hands are directly under your shoulders. There's a straight line from your shoulders to your heels, and your heels are fighting back. Gaze is down at the mat, and you're twisting your tailbone back and down towards your heels, activating your core. Your mind is in your core here. If you need to at any time when we're in a plank, you can bring your knees down to the mat. Slowly lower down, chaturanga, elbows hugging your sides, and then push back up. Chaturanga push-ups. Back down, and push back up. 2. Come down, push back up. 3, come down, push back up. 4, down, up. 5, come back down and just rest on your belly. Breathing here, catching your breath. If you're on one cheek, switch sides. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders again. Tuck your toes, pushing back up into plank. And then drop your knees to the mat and come to a tabletop position on the mat. So again, shoulders are over wrists, and now your hips are over your knees. And you can just wiggle it out here in this first table. We're going to go through some cat-cows. So for cow pose, gaze is forward, belly's dropped, hips are up. And exhale, lifting your back up, gazing at your navel, hollowing out your core, cat pose. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. And follow your own breaths here. One movement per breath. From cat to cow. Awakening the spine. Come back to a neutral spine. Now we're going to raise our right arm forward and kick our left leg back. Balancing cat pose. So you don't want to kick your leg up. That activates your quad. You want to actually fight your heel back behind you. And at the same time, you're extending your arm out in front of you. Activating your core. Breathing here. Come back down to table and go up on the other side. So now left hand extends out in front of you, right leg extends back. Feeling this in your core. Come back down. Come up on the other side, so right arm extends out, left leg extends back. And now exhale, bring your elbow and your knee together underneath you, and then inhale, both back up to balancing cat. Exhale them together, inhale them back. Exhale them together, inhale and extend. Exhale together, inhale, extend. Exhale together, inhale, extend. Come down, back to the mat. We're going to take it on the other side. So left hand extends out, right leg back, and you're going to bring it together and then back out. Together, and out. Together, and out. Together, and out. Together, out. Together, out, and back down. Extend your right arm and your left leg, and then reach back behind and grab the top of your back leg and kick it up, opening the chest, stretching the shoulder, working the quad and the glute. Gaze is over your right shoulder. Breathing here. Come back down to the mat. Now extend your left arm up and out, your right leg back, and then grab your right foot with your left hand, and your gaze is up and back over your left shoulder. As you stretch open your chest, you stretch your shoulder, and activate your quad and your glute on the other leg. Breathing here. Come back down. Kick your feet back to a plank position and roll over onto your right foot into a side plank. So left hand goes up to the sky and our hips are not too far down or too high up. If you need a little extra help here, take that top leg and kick it back behind you so that you have a third point of contact. Or if you need a challenge, go ahead and lift that top leg up into the sky, ensuring that your hips stay even here. Come back to plank. Take a little mini break if you need it here, and then set up for side plank on the other side. So roll onto the edge of your left foot, raising your right arm to the sky, taking any modification you need here to make this pose a little easier or a little more challenging for you, depending on where you are in your fitness journey. Come back to regular side plank, and then regular plank, and then take a little mini break if you need it. From plank, lower down, chaturanga, bringing your belly to the mat. We're going to do some sun salutations and set up for vinyasas here, so there's a back bend option. So bring your hands out in front of you, flat on the mat, and extend your arms out. There's a slight bend in your elbows still. This is mini cobra. Gaze is forward or up, and you're pushing out from your shoulders. So now extend your arms fully so that the top of your hip comes off the mat, full cobra. Gaze is forward or up for a little more of an intense back bend. If you come up to upward dog, your knees are off the mat, you're on the tops of your feet, your chest is open, your shoulders are away from the ears, and your gaze is up. An intense back bend. From whichever back bend you choose, roll over your toes into the first downward dog of this class. Main goal of dog here is to raise your seat up to the sky, so if you need to bend your knees to get a little more height in your seat, that's fine. Next, you want to focus on your hands, so make sure most of the weight is on your thumbs and first finger, activating your triceps, and make sure that the eyes of your elbows are facing each other. So if you need to open out of your shoulders a little, that's fine too. If your legs are straight, you want to be fighting your heels back behind you towards the mat, stretching out your hamstrings and your calves. You can bend one knee in, stretching out the calf of the other leg. Feeling a nice stretch there. And you can alternate by straightening that knee and bringing the other knee down towards the mat. Not quite making contact with the mat, but that stretches out the other calf. You can pedal your dog here, so bring both knees back up, pedal out the dog, alternating which knee goes down. If at any time you get tired and need a little bit of a rest, you can bring your knees to the edges of the mat and sink your hips down towards your heels into child's pose. You can put some weight into your palms and push, activating your upper back and shoulders, making child's pose a little more active if you need a challenge. Or you can drop your elbows to the mat, releasing all of your weight, truly resting here. Connect with your breath. From child's pose, come up onto a tabletop position on your hands and knees. And then tuck your toes and lift your seat back towards downward dog. On an exhale, bringing your feet to your hands, you can either walk them or jump, and then inhale up to a flat back. So you've got a 90-degree bend at the hips. Your shoulders are away from your ears, and your hands are on your shins, wherever you need to get a nice 90-degree angle. Gaze is down. And then exhale to a forward fold. So the main thing about a fold is getting your belly onto your thighs. So if you need to bend your knees to get your palms flat on the mat as well, you can do that. If your knees are bent, you're pushing your hips up, stretching your hamstrings. And your neck here is not working. You're not tweaking your neck. You can have free movement, shaking your head up and down, left and right. With a flat back, inhale your arms all the way up to the sky. Follow your gaze up past your fingers. And then bring your hands to prayer at heart center, tracing a line down over your face, down your body, until your hands stop at your chest. A variation of mountain pose. Neck is flat. Palms are squeezing in towards each other. And you're twisting your tailbone back and down, activating your glutes and your core. Shoulders are away from the ears, back and down your back. Inhale your arms up overhead. Gaze follows fingertips. And then with a flat back, swan dive forward into a forward fold. Inhale up to a flat back. And then exhale down, kicking your legs back or jumping back into a plank. And then hugging your elbows in at your sides as you lower down into a chaturanga. Inhaling up to that back bend of your choice. And then roll over your toes into a downward facing dog. So we use downward dog as a rest pose between the asanas. So if it's too much for you, feel free to go into a child's pose at any point while we reconnect with our breaths here in down dog. We're going to exhale our feet to the hands. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms all the way up with a flat back, overhead. And then bring our hands to prayer at heart center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, step or hop back to plank and lower down chaturanga in that same exhale. Inhale to your back bend and exhale to downward facing dog. We'll do that sun salutation again after we recatch our breath here. So exhale, bring your feet to your hands, halfway lift, forward fold, arms up overhead, prayer at heart center, arms up, forward fold, halfway lift, plank and chaturanga down, up, back bend, over the toes, downward facing dog. We're going to do a playful sequence here, first on our right foot and then our left. So I'll teach you the sequence, and then you can do it yourself, one movement per breath. On your next inhale, raise your right leg up, toes pointing down, not opening our hips here, keeping them square. And then exhale, bring your feet to your hands. We're going to spin our back heel down so that it's perpendicular to the mat or parallel to the back edge, and then windmill our arms up into a warrior two. From here, bring your back arm forward and twist up onto your back toes into a crescent lunge. Next, we're going to kick our back leg forward and up into a balanced posture. So our knee is up. Then we're going to grab our big toe with the first two fingers of our left hand, and with a nice straight spine, extend your leg out to the side as far as it'll go. You'll notice I'm not too flexible in the hamstring. It's part anatomy. From here, release your toe, arms up overhead again, knee is up in front of you, and then kick that leg back, coming back into a crescent lunge. Transition to a warrior two pose. Flip your front palm and take it back to a reverse warrior. Then windmill your arms down to the mat, spinning onto your toe pads of your back foot. Frame your front foot with your hands and then kick that front leg back into downward dog. So we'll do that entire sequence again now with our left leg. So inhale your left leg up. Exhale, kick it through to your hands. Spin your back heel and windmill your arms up into warrior two. Swing your back arm up, crescent lunge. Kick up, grab your big toe, extend your right leg out to the right, opening up your hip. Arms up and knee forward, and then kick your leg back into crescent. Spin your back heel, warrior two. Flip your palm, reverse your warrior. And then windmill your arms and reposition your feet, kicking your legs back to downward facing dog. So let's do the sequence again to your own breath. One movement per breath. I'll guide you on the right hand side again here before I let you play with your own breath. So inhale, right leg up. Exhale, kick it through. Inhale up to warrior two. Transition to crescent lunge. Kick your back leg forward, knee is up. Grab your toe. Open your leg up, stretching your hamstring, opening your hip. Come back, bring your knee forward, arms up. Kick that front leg back into crescent. Transition to warrior two. Flip your palm, reverse that warrior. Windmill your arms down. Kick your leg back. One more time guided. Inhale your left leg up. Kick it through to meet your hands. Windmill up to two. Transition to crescent. Kick that back leg up. Grab your toe. Extend out with a straight spine. Back to your knee forward. Kick your leg back, crescent. Transition to two. Flip and reverse your warrior. Windmill your arms down. Kick your left leg back to downward dog. And then play with this posture, with this flow to your own breath. When you've completed the sequence, bring your knees to the edges of the mat and meet me in child's pose, connecting with your breath, releasing tension from your body and from that sequence. Come up to a tabletop position, and then kick your legs back and come into a downward dog. Exhale your feet to your hands, flat back, forward fold, arms up overhead, prayer, arms up, forward fold, halfway lift, plank, and chaturanga down, back bend, and downward facing dog. Breathe here. Inhale your right leg up. Exhale, kick it through to meet your hands. Raise your arms up into a crescent lunge, a 90-degree bend in the front leg. Your back leg is straight and strong, and you're pushing your back heel back behind you. Your shoulders are back and down away from your ears. Now you want to spin your back heel down so that your foot is at a 45-degree angle to the mat, and you're going to straighten your front leg, open your hips, and lower your right hand down to your shin, your foot, or the mat, wherever it reaches. And your left arm opens up to the side, fingers to the sky, gaze is following the fingertips. Extended triangle pose here, feeling a stretch in the front hamstring, opening the shoulders, opening the chest. Breathe. Breathe through the stretch. Bring your back foot to meet your top foot and slowly lower your hips down to the ground into a squat position. Your elbows are pushing against your knees. You're opening your hips here. Your chest is open. Your shoulders are back and down away from the ears. And you're pushing your palms against each other while you're pushing your elbows against your legs to open up here. Chest is up, gaze is forward. You can rock from left to right gently, going into a deeper edge. From here, slowly raise your hips up and come into a forward fold, so heel toe your feet together. You're then going to step back with your right foot, bringing it to a 45-degree angle. Straighten that front leg and bring your left hand down to wherever it meets shin or leg or mat. And extend your right arm up to the sky, twisting open. Extended triangle on the other side. A hamstring stretch on the other leg. From this pose, bend that front knee and come up onto crescent on the other side. So the back leg is now straight and strong. Your heel is raised up, but you're fighting your heel back. And you've got a nice 90-degree bend in that front leg. Shoulders are away from the ears, biceps are hugging your ears. Now bring your hands to the mat. Kick your front leg back into downward facing dog. On an exhale, bring your feet to your hands and come up to a flat back. Forward fold. Arms overhead. Bring them to prayer at heart center. Arms back up. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Plank. Chaturanga. Back bend. Downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg up. And on an exhale, kick it through to meet your hands. Spin your back heel down and windmill your arms up into a warrior two. So your back foot is parallel with the back edge of your mat. Your front leg is bent. Bring your torso forward, following your front fingers, and then hook your right elbow onto your right knee and bring your left hand up to the sky, twisting open, gaze is up at your fingertips. Now take that left hand and wrap it to the small of your back. Gaze is still up over your left shoulder. Then with your right hand, reach underneath your leg and bring it back, binding. We're setting it for bird of paradise here. So from the bind to come into the pose, bring your feet together, stepping either foot to the other, it doesn't really matter. And then when ready, with the bind intact, lift your right leg. You can come onto your toe first. And the goal is to lift and straighten up. So have a nice straight spine. If you can get your spine nice and straight, you can extend your leg out if you have the hamstring flexibility as well. So play around here in this pose. If you come out of it, that's fine. Just try again. You need nice open shoulders, open hips, strong hamstrings, and flexible hamstrings. A bit of balance, and maybe a lot of patience. Keep playing, keep breathing here. We'll come out of the pose by raising our arms up to the sky, and then with a flat back, lowering down to a forward fold. Inhaling up, halfway lift, flat back. Then we're going to exhale down to a forward fold, and then inhale our arms up overhead, Bring them to prayer at heart center. Arms come back up. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Plank and chaturanga down. Back bend to downward facing dog. We'll try it on the other side. So inhale your left leg up. Exhale, kick it through to your hands. Spin your back heel down, warrior two. Come forward, bringing your torso towards those front fingers. Elbow to knee. Right arm is up, overhead. Then it swings down to the small of your back. And your left hand reaches underneath your leg, binding on the other side. From here, bring your feet together and play with Bird of Paradise on the other side. Inhale your arms up, out of the pose, and then exhale them down, forward fold. Halfway lift, forward fold again. Bring your hands up overhead, gaze is up at the sky, prayer at heart center. Arms up, fold down, halfway lift. Then we're going to come down to a forward fold and hang here for a minute. Grab opposite elbow and rock from side to side, feeling a nice release in your back, shifting the weight from one leg and then the other. Release your elbows, letting your hands get heavy. And then slowly start to come up, ragdoll position, stacking vertebrae on top of vertebrae. Rolling your shoulders back and down. Head comes up last. Palms face forward, we're in mountain pose. We'll take some asanas here to release the Bird of Paradise. So we're going to come into eagle pose, a challenging balancing posture. So we'll put the weight into our left leg first, and our right leg wraps over our left, and we're bending that left knee. So as you wrap your right leg over left, you bend that left knee, and the top of your right foot makes contact with the calf of your left. When you're strong there, you can bring your arms to a T. And your left arm comes over your right arm, and you twist your hands together, touching palms. Once you're there, you want to raise your elbows up to the same height as your shoulders and push your palms away from your face. And you should feel a nice stretch in the back of the shoulders, the shoulder blades. Slowly bring your elbows towards your knees. Eagle at rest pose. It might not feel like rest. Come back up to eagle and release out of the pose gently and shake it out a little. And we'll come on to the other side. So bring the weight into the right foot. Bring your left leg and wrap it around your right, connecting the top of your left foot with the back of your right calf, bending the knee. Now your right arm goes over left, connecting your palms in front of you, raising your elbows up to the same height as your shoulders, and pushing your palms out in front of you. Eagle pose, shoulder stretch. Bring your elbows towards your knee, coming into eagle at rest. Then lift back up into eagle pose. Gently explode out of the pose and shake it out. Come onto your seats on the mat. Open your feet out wide. Legs are straight, feet are flexed. Spine is tall. If you need to, you can remove the flesh from your seat. We're going to do a wide leg forward fold. So inhale, spine gets straight. And as you exhale, come forward, hinging at the hips with a flat back. So don't collapse the top of your back and roll your back. You want to keep a nice straight spine here. Some people are quite flexible in this pose. You will see that I am not. That's okay. As I breathe, I'm opening my hips here. You can activate the tops of your knees, your quads, the front of the thigh to get a little deeper into the pose. On an inhale, come back up out of the pose. And bring your legs together. We're going to come into staff pose. So legs are parallel, feet are flexed, and we've got a nice 90-degree bend at the hips. Your spine is straight and tall. Your core is activated here, and your hands are resting, palms down, at the sides of your hips. We're going to come to a seated twist. So take your left leg over your right leg is straight, foot is flexed. We're going to inhale our left hand, arm up and back, then inhale your right arm up, twist to the left, connecting your elbow to the raised knee. As you inhale, your spine gets taller, sitting up nice and straight. And as you exhale, you're twisting more to the left, initiating the twist from your belly button. Come back to center. And then take a nice counter twist to the right. Then switch legs. So left leg comes down in front of you, left foot is flexed. Take your right leg over your left, knee is up. Take your right arm back, and then inhale your left arm up, and twist to your right, connecting right elbow to that raised knee. Every inhale, get your spine straighter and taller. And every exhale, you twist more from that belly button to the right side. bringing your gaze to the right and eventually behind you. Come back to center. Counter twist to your left. Then come back to center and lower onto your back slowly. Resting here for a few breaths. Bring your arms up overhead. And without using your hands or your legs, roll over onto your left side, onto your stomach. Come back onto the mat. So now we're on our stomachs on the mat. Arms are at our sides. We're resting here. If you're on one cheek, change sides. We're going to come into Sphinx pose. So bring your elbows directly underneath your shoulders. You're on your forearms and your fingers are splayed out. Your toes can remain flat here. Our shoulders are away from our ears and we're bending in the middle of our backs. Gaze is forward, a nice strong Sphinx pose. You're digging your hips into the ground. From here, come to dolphin pose. So to do that, tuck your toes and then lift your seat to the sky, similar to a downward dog. The top of your head is just barely grazing the mat, and walk your toes in towards your elbows. Feeling a nice stretch in the hamstring here. Slowly lower your knees down to the mat. Kick your heels to one side, lowering onto your seat. So we are now seated on the mat, and we're going to do a one-legged hamstring stretch. So extend your right leg out in front of you, feet is flexed, foot is flexed. The bottom of your left foot meets the side of your thigh, knee splaying out to the side. You can grab a block so you can put some weight onto that knee if it doesn't contact the ground. And we're going to inhale our arms up with a nice straight spine and hinge at the waist, hinge at the hips with a flat back, and bring your hands wherever they meet. So it might be your knee, your shin, it might be your toes. If you're really flexible here, you can use a yoga block past the edge of your foot to get a little more of a stretch, and you want to feel this in your hamstring. So your right hamstring stretches with each breath, with each inhale and exhale. Come back up and switch legs. Left leg extends out in front of you. Left foot is flexed. The bottom of your right foot makes contact with your left thigh. You inhale your arms up and you exhale with a flat back over your left hamstring. Feet making contact at the knee, the shin, the foot, or a yoga block past the foot if you need to. Come back up. Grab each big toe with the first two fingers of each hand. Knees are out to the side, and extend your legs up and out to the corners of the room, straightening your hamstring here. You're balancing on your seat. Your chest is up. If you fall down, you can just roll right back up. You can bring your feet back down to the mat. So now roll onto the back and come to happy baby pose. So your knees are by your armpits. You're grabbing the outer edges of each foot and you're rocking left and right, massaging your back and your sacrum. And as you rock to your left, you can bring your left knee in towards your armpit, opening up the hip. And as you rock to the right, you could do the same to that leg and that hip. Come out of the pose, but bring your knees to the chest and give them a nice squeeze, rocking left and right gently. Then bring your legs down to the mat. Let them splay out to the sides. Shoulder blades are back and down. Arms to your sides, palms up. Neck is flat here. You do not have to concentrate on your breath. Relax every muscle in your body. Shavasana. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Slowly introduce some movement back into your physical bodies. Bring your arms overhead, stretching from fingertips to toes. Bring your knees to your chest, giving them a gentle squeeze and rocking left to right slowly, back and forth. Rolling over into the fetal position on your right side, right cheek resting on right bicep. With eyes still closed, push off with your left hand and come to a comfortable seated position at the top of your mat. Hands can be on your knees, palms up or down, or in prayer at heart center position. Neck is flat, chin is slightly tucked. Thank yourself for coming to yoga today and being kind to your mind and your body. The light in me shines as the light in you. Namaste.